Massive fraud in the state of Minnesota, especially in Minneapolis. This daycare right here, ran by Somalians, has taken in from the Minnesota government $1.1 million. This daycare says it can hold up to 40 children. I went up to the door. The door is locked, and as you can see, the windows are blacked out. I can't hear any children inside this daycare. It's midday right now. You'd think there'd be children in there playing, being taught, but no one is in there. This daycare, within 2 years, has taken in over $2 million. The Somalians are robbing the taxpayers in Minnesota blind. This is just one daycare located in Minneapolis that are doing exactly the same thing. We've went into daycare after daycare. All the doors are locked, all the windows are blocked out, and they're raking in millions upon millions of dollars. This Tim Walz's Minnesota is allowing this to go on. It's super easy to find fraud. All you need to do is go up to a door, try to open it. It's closed and there's no children. So you know these daycares, they're not full, but yet they're taking in millions of dollars every year. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
Hello, I'm HHS Deputy Secretary Jim O'Neill. I'm here with Assistant Secretary Alex Adams. Alex oversees the Administration for Children and Families. Intrepid journalists have made shocking and credible allegations of extensive fraud in Minnesota's child care programs. We believe the state of Minnesota has allowed scammers and fake daycares to siphon millions of taxpayer dollars over the past decade.
My office, ACF, provides Minnesota $185 million in child care funds each year. That money should be helping 19,000 American children, including toddlers and infants. Any dollar stolen by fraudsters is stolen from those children. Yesterday, I spoke directly with the director of the Minnesota Child Care Services Office. She could not tell me with confidence whether those allegations of fraud are isolated or whether there's fraud stretching statewide.
Today, we have taken 3 direct actions against the blatant fraud that seems to be rampant in Minnesota. First, I have activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF child care payments across America. Starting today, we require a justification, receipt, or photo evidence before we make a payment. Second, I have just signed and sent a demand letter to Governor Walz. I required a full 360 review of these centers. This includes attendance records, licenses, complaints, investigations, and inspections.
And third, we've launched a dedicated fraud reporting hotline and email address at childcare.gov. Whether you're a parent, a provider, a member of the public, we want to hear from you. Let me be crystal clear. ACF expects every state to uphold the highest standards of oversight, monitoring, and accountability for federal dollars. Minnesota is no exception.
We're committed to holding bad actors accountable. Regardless of rank or office, anyone who's involved in perpetrating this fraud against the American people should expect to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Produced by the U.S.
I'm sorry. The way they were looking and like talking, I know this is serious, but it kind of reminded me of like an SNL skit. I don't like SNL, but it just seemed like a skit. So I just want to make sure, and I have a lot more to show you guys. This thing is crazy. And again, I'm under the weather, so my voice is a little off, but it says, I just want to make sure it's not just Minnesota. Okay, it says across the country, I've activated our Defend the Spend system for all ACF payments starting today. Okay, across America. So every state, because guys, I just did the video on covering, this is going on in a lot of states, probably every state, I'm thinking. But Ohio, I highlighted that this guy just started looking into these daycares and things. It's going on there. In Massachusetts, there's a whistleblower, someone speaking out in Washington, California. It's all over the place. But guys, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This says here, in 2018, this is insane. In 2018, Minnesota saw $3 million in autism claims because we know they are stealing money from children with autism. When I told you guys that we are in dark times, that we are in end times, evil has no bounds. They were willing to steal from children, steal from American taxpayers, steal from, Medicaid, all of these different things, but actually stealing from disabled children. Does it get any more? I mean, there is a lot more evil than that. But just think of how disgusting that is. If they're willing to do this, what else aren't they doing? Are they trafficking children, selling children? It seems as though they are willing to do anything for $1. Okay, so that was $3 million. In 2023, after the Somalis invaded, they took $400 million in autism claims. Guys, I need you to look at what I'm saying. 2018, it was only 3 million. Then in 2023 alone, 400 million. Who approved that? How can you go from 3 million to 400 million and no one bats an eye? Or, as I've told you, from the top down, it is all corrupt. It is all corrupt. But let's listen to this. This is from Congressman Andy Ogles. I think that's his last name.
When you look specifically at Somalia, where they're manipulating the system. So in 2018, there was $3 million in Medicaid claims for autism. Now you fast forward to 2023 after they were invaded by Somalis, and suddenly those claims for Medicaid for autism is almost $400 million, 399. So we know there's just hundreds of millions of dollars in fraud and abuse just in that one city. Now you add in Chicago, now you add in New York, now you add in every big city, blue city in America where they've been invaded by foreigners who are on and scamming the system. That's money taken away from you. Look, we still have 22 veterans a day that are killing themselves. That's money taken away from veterans. We have kids all across this nation who can't read at the 3rd grade level, not on grade level. That's money away from them. We've got to prioritize America first. Means Americans first. America first means American workers first. And so we've got to have those tough conversations. We've got to stop the H-1B visas. We need to pause all visas. We need to fix that system because we know it's broken. We know that it's being used against us, literally used against us.
Now, like I told you, this fraud is layered in many different ways. I'm just going to skim through a bunch of it, guys. It's insane. It all leads back to Tim Walz. It all leads back to the top. But it says, here's another Somalia scam going on in Minnesota. Fake medical transportation companies. This story is getting bigger by the day.
I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
Now, I was hoping to catch it before that ending, but look at this.
I found out that in Minnesota...
Sorry. Pause that. So this is, I don't know if you've heard about this, but Judge Sarah West in Minnesota wrongly overturned a unanimous jury verdict in November against Abdifatah, I can't say his name, Yusuf, in a $7.2 million fraud case with overwhelming evidence against Yusuf. This is why feds need to get involved. Minnesota's judiciary is corrupt. Well, they're going to have to go to everywhere.
Big reversal in a $7.2 million fraud case in Hennepin County. The judge has thrown out the jury's guilty verdict.
This wasn't some technical hiccup. These fraudsters, Abdifatah Yusuf and Lul Ahmed, were convicted on 6 counts of charges, months of evidence, a jury that deliberated for hours, all erased in one ruling.
Yusuf and his wife Lul Ahmed were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant or PCA scam. The couple allegedly spent tens of thousands of the fraud money.
And here's the part that rattled people inside the system. The judge didn't say the fraud didn't happen. She said the state couldn't prove who was responsible, which raised this question on everyone's minds. If a case this obvious can't hold, what happens to the rest? Because this ruling hit while Minnesota is already buried under billion-dollar fraud scandals, overseas money trails, and growing federal probes into how taxpayer money keeps disappearing. And here's the twist most people missed. Once that verdict collapsed, the issue stopped being one defendant. It became about whether Minnesota's system can still enforce fraud at all, or whether the feds are stepping in because the state no longer can. And that's where this story really starts. Here's why this case collapsing came out of nowhere and was shocking for most people. This wasn't a messy jury split or a hung panel. It was a unanimous guilty verdict, and that's because all the facts were on the prosecution's side. The fraudulent couple had a home healthcare business that barely existed. and billing Minnesota's Medicaid program for services that either weren't documented or never happened at all. But that wasn't all.
The jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located.
And what's more, they followed the money and found a whole lot of it in Abdul Fattah's accounts. Over $1 million moved from the business into personal accounts. Nearly $400,000 withdrawn in cash. You might be thinking, what could they have possibly needed that much money for? Well, according to prosecutors, they splurged it on luxury purchases, mansions, luxury vacations, a lifestyle that stood out immediately because it didn't exactly line up with their paycheck.
The files documenting spending sprees in which defendants, get this, took taxpayer money that was obviously meant to feed hungry kids during the pandemic, and instead they used it to buy fancy cars, property, jewelry.
And when jurors heard all that evidence, it only took them a few hours to reach a verdict. The jury foreperson later said this about the case.
It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most, based off of the state's evidence that was presented.
So that's a short part of a longer video. But you can see even in the judicial level, even when someone is convicted, well, it's overturned. It's overturned. And why would this be overturned? It makes no sense unless they are all in on it. And we know that they are. They will use, it does not matter what it is, okay? Whether it's to help money that's supposed to go to the elderly, the disabled, children, veterans, no matter what, this evil is pervasive. And this is how we know we are in the last days, because there is nothing that they will not do, what level they will stoop to in order to enrich themselves. Because what is it? What do we know? That the love of money is the root of all evil. But look at this. I exposed, and I told you guys, there's a whistleblower. Back in 2018, on my last video, I played that clip where this was all exposed. A lot of the stuff that we're seeing now was exposed back then. It was given to Governor Tim Walz. It was given to all of these different people within the government. They did nothing with it. And then anyone convicted, well, it was overturned. But then also, now I just found this clip that Project Veritas was so far ahead of the Somali fraud in Minnesota. Okay, we exposed their illegal ballot harvesting schemes in 2020. No one was ever arrested. So I'm seeing this pop up now with them doing this. Well, they have discovered election fraud, but let me take you back to 2020.
James O'Keefe here in downtown Minneapolis at the scene of the crime. The person you're about to meet, Liban Mohammed, aka King Liban 1, boasts about the hundreds of absentee ballots in his car.
Numbers don't lie. Wajida gaarigayga waa buuxaa. Waxaas waa absent ballot salka yaala. Soo ma jeedin. Fiiri, waxaas oo dhan soo ma jeedin. Waa buuxaa gaarigayga. Waa buuxa yaala. Waxaas kullu waa Jamaal Cusmaan way. Fiiri. 300 clear maanta soo dhacday oo Jamaal Cusmaan. Yeah.
There was video. You can see the video. There was a video out and about that he has the ballots in his car.
Right.
And talking about the only way you can win is with money. I was looking at them and they were not filled. They were blank.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots? People who work with, like Ilhan Omar. Where do they pay the money? The minute we sign the thing, the election, that's what you get paid.
Money is everything. Money is the key in this world. If you ain't got money, you should not be here, period.
At the end of this street,
yes,
there's 3 towers called One Tower.
Okay.
And it's all seniors, and they took every ballot.
Every ballot. They just take them from them.
Every single ballot. They knock on the door and say, your ballots, come give it to me, give it to me.
They don't even pay them for it. They just take it.
No. And the ones that didn't vote on ballots, the young people and the women and stuff, they were paying cash. They were getting bags of money the last 1 week here to drive people. So there's a vested interest, but we are victims of the system. They don't give a shit about any Somali.
2 in the morning, still hustling.
Who is the one filling out the absentee ballots? People who work with, like Ilhan Omar and other candidates work for them. They came to us to our apartments. They tell us that this year you're going to vote for Ilhan. You don't go nowhere, you stay home, we will gotta fill up. So your absentee ballot, when it comes, we'll come and get it. You just don't go nowhere, you stay here. They fill up for us.
Now, this says Minnesota Department of Children Commissioner Tiki Brown claims the Quality Learning Center closed down last week. That's the one that Nick Shirley investigated, or one of them that everyone's been talking about, where they misspelled the name on the door. It said luring, and it's supposed to be learning. Okay, well, this woman claimed that it was shut down last week, right? Today, however, the Quality Learning Center was packed with kids. They didn't have any kids before, but now today they're packed with kids, even though they're also supposed to be closed. The New York Post reports the children were trucked in, with one local saying it was the first time they had seen kids go into the building. They need to coordinate next time before they try to cover up a crime. Guys, this is everyone, like the whole administration, everyone is involved in this fraud.
Is there fraud going on here? No, it's a video. I just want to know, what's your response? Huh? Get the out of here. What's your response to the allegations? Is there fraud going on here, and is there children? That's all.
We are aware of a video that's being circulated that has gained local and national attention about child care centers in Minnesota. While we have questions about some of the methods that were used in the video, we do take the concerns that the video raises about fraud very seriously. Each of the facilities mentioned in the video has been visited at least once in the last 6 months as part of our typical licensing process. And in fact, our staff are out in the community today to visit each of these sites again so that we can look into the concerns that were raised in the video. So I won't go into any detail about whether or not any of these have any open investigations. I will share that our team was notified that Quality Learning Center closed just over a week ago. And I believe the details that were given at that time were around space concerns. And that's what was shared. The previous one I mentioned that had been closed some time ago was Mako.
Lies, whole lies, but we know that. Guys, make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will be, there hasn't been as much news as today, like digital ID, all of those things that we've been talking about, but I will be bringing you some more information about that, because now it's like, as soon as I start talking about this stuff, well, now the floodgates are open and there's so much movement that you guys need to be aware of. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you very shortly.